Or that is Robert Prechter. He's a noted bear on these markets, but he says that the Fed had missed an opportunity when they met last week to go ahead and cut rates. Of course, looking back is always 2020 when you woulda, shoulda, coulda. But he was referring to some technicals that would have warranted a move then. How the markets would have responded, anyone's guess. How real estate would have responded, anyone's guess. To Ryan Serhant right now, the Serhant founder and CEO, a titan in the real estate industry. So much so, Netflix has a show with the guy, and it's a rocketing buzz success. Ryan, one of the things he ended with there, Prechter, was that he expects an interest rate cut before the next Fed meeting. What would that do to rates, you think, besides the rates the Fed controls to go down? But could it also panic people into thinking, gosh, maybe they see something I don't? What do you think?
Well, right now, lower mortgage rates that we're seeing this week compared to the highs we've seen over the past year haven't done a whole lot for absorption of what's on the market because there just isn't a whole lot on the market. So if interest rates do come down, that's going to put institutional buyers back into the fray. It's going to put investment purchasers back into the fray. But that first-time home buyer, that starter buyer that we focus so much of our time on, I mean, I don't know if you knew this, but 5 years ago, there was just over 80 cities in the United States where the starter home was $1 million or above. Okay. Today, it's over 230 cities. That's what's happened in the last 5 years. The starter home price.
And we have this, but we have this Mexican standoff, right? I mean, where the people who own the homes, they're not getting out of them or putting them up on the market. A lot of them have very low mortgages, and that's hard to transfer to anyone else. So they stay put. Buyers are itching to get in, but they can't afford the homes the way they are right now. So where does this go?
And housing is defined by three things. You've got supply, you've got demand, and you have rates. So if there are significant movement in rates, you're not going to see significant movement in housing purchases or sales immediately, but you'll start to see it in the following quarter. That's what I'm expecting to happen right now. We're gearing up at Serhant across the markets we're in right now up and down the East Coast to have probably one of the busiest fourth quarters we've ever had in our history, because everyone's going to wait and they want to make sure that they're buying right.
You're everywhere now. Of course, I know you're very big in Palm Beach and in Florida. You're big up north here, but in very pricey locales, and they are among the priciest in the country. I would probably extend that to the world. What does that environment look like now?
If you had asked me a week ago, my answer might be a little bit different. But over the past 4 days, there's been an incredible flight to quality. Anytime we have, you were talking about earlier, right, looking at the VIX, anytime we have incredible market volatility, we have buyers say, okay, where else can I put my capital? What's a great hard asset? And there's your standard flights, which are, real estate. You're going to have more homes sold this year for over $100 million than ever before. It's going to be probably double what we saw last year. And it's not just in Palm Beach, Manhattan, and the Hamptons. You're seeing now, purchasers going out and finding, farmland. You're seeing homes in a lot of different markets kind of hit those upper echelons of pricing as people are trying to find a place to put money that they feel is safe. But the luxury market, in as much as we are concerned, isn't as affected by small moves in interest rates, at least not yet.
I had an analyst on not too long ago that, the market's a more uncertainty. I get that, but so do real estate buyers. And that not knowing how this presidential election works out is yet another unknown that keeps buyers at bay or activity at bay. Do you buy that?
I don't buy it as much today as I used to. The election now looks different than it did a month ago. A lot has happened. I think you have some markets where we're seeing buyers sit tight and say, I want to see what happens in November because it could affect my taxes. For instance, for SALT, right? The state and local tax deduction. If something were to change there, that could make a material difference for most people. But I think the general consensus right now is that there are much bigger concerns. There are wars, right? The economy is tight. We have unemployment now, in a way that we're talking about that we weren't talking about 60 days ago, let alone 90 days ago. People want good jobs. They want to be in good markets, and they don't want to have to move from where they currently are just to get a great home to start their family in. Whoever can solve that problem moving through November that's going to give us a great uptick in the housing market.
All right, Ryan, we shall see. Continued success. Ryan Serhant, that's Serhant, founder and CEO.